None of them reported about the shots fired into the Spirited Northwoods. None of them reported about the constant 24/7 harassment perpetrated by the junior Lorna Marquardt cult members at the SIST headquarters. In fact, these news stations were even able to successfully put a negative spin on that too, by saying that SIST headquarters was under 24-hour guard. They never reported why it was under 24-hour guard. By withholding information about some things and putting a negative spin on other things, they are able to gain complete mind control over the Shawano citizens and lead them into believing anything they wanted the citizens to think by just putting a little negative spin on everything that was SIST related. In the last few months, this deranged cult leader, Lorna Marquardt, has told her minister of propaganda, lies, and deceit to report that SIST was behind on taxes. Her faithful follower has never reported that the real reason SIST was behind on taxes was because his mistress, Lorna Marquardt, was promoting boycotts of all SIST businesses and extorting tens of thousands of dollars through a variety of schemes. How come he never publicized any of the other Shawano businesses that are behind on their taxes due to the after effects of this cult leader's malicious activities? The Wisconsin Department of Revenue website shows that there are dozens of people who are behind on their taxes in the Shawano area. Clearly, Michael Lauber has a personal vendetta against SIST and SIST president. Michael Lauber also reported that I was videotaping his master's private compound, but never clearly stated that the reason for this was because I was uncovering her malevolent actions. Nor did Michael Lauber say that it was her personal hitmen, namely her son-in-law and grandson, whom she sent to arrest me. She ordered the news media, including Rachel Stockman from NBC 26 of all people, to say that I was, quote, lurking around her private compound. Nobody ever reported nor even asked me what the truth was and what really happened. They never reported that I was actually parked in the park across the street from her private compound and that I was there for less than 5 minutes, just long enough to get some footage. All of these brainwashed puppet news reporters said that Lorna Marquardt's personal manservant, Donald, confronted me. There was absolutely no confrontation, and I was actually very pleasant and polite to him. I even asked him, quote, if I could help him when he came up to me, and he replied no. All of the reporters from WSAW, WGBA, WFRV, WLUK, and WBAY that show up at the SIST headquarters on a constant basis are always rude and obnoxious. They act like SIST personnel are subhuman and have no rights in this country. I was not like that at all. I kept it very peaceful and pleasant. These news reporters are demonstrating a repetition of Holocaust tactics by Lorna Marquardt's ancestors. In all of these so-called news stories, they have deceitfully withheld from the public how this vicious cult leader, Lorna Marquardt, has promoted the boycotting of all SIST businesses. All of the reporters sidestepped the issue of the time that this evasive cult leader, Lorna Marquardt, was invited as a guest of honor to participate in the grand opening ceremony of USA International Raceway. She never showed up and never bothered to inform any of the SIST personnel that she wasn't coming after promising them that she would be there. These so-called news reporters have elusively avoided the topic of why this mysterious cult leader has never shopped at the Spirit of the Northwoods store since it was bought by SIST, even though she was a regular customer before it was owned by SIST. They all elusively avoid the topic of how Lorna Marquardt has ordered many people of this community not to shop at SIST businesses. None of these so-called news stations reported on the bombing of SIST headquarters, nor did they report how the Shawano County Sheriff Department has refused to investigate this bombing. None of them have ever reported how the Shawano Police Department has refused to investigate the shooting at the Spirit of the Northwoods. None of them have reported about the hundreds of incidents at the SIST headquarters where junior Lorna Marquardt cult members are sent by Lorna herself to drive by harassing SIST personnel day and night. and how they are never investigated by the Sheriff Department, and citations are never issued, and charges are never pressed against the criminal perpetrators. None of them reported that many of the police reports filed with the Shawano County Sheriff Department from all of the above incidents, including some of the shootings, had mysteriously disappeared from the Shawano County Sheriff Department by the hands of her fellow cult leaders, namely Head Sheriff Randy Wright and one of her followers, her own son-in-law George Lensner, who normally works in the office of the Sheriff Department. There have also been a number of instances that news reporters have never reported about how this malicious cult leader sent another branch of her long-reaching, outrageous organization, always unannounced and usually in secret, to change the gas and electric meters out at some of the SIST-related properties. They have failed to report that these new meters somehow read more than what is really being used. One apartment that these vicious outlaws went to used to have an average utility bill of about $100 a month, and now their average utility bill is $600 per month. Another business that rents one of the SIST properties used to have an average water bill of around $2,000 per month until these outrageous criminals came for a visit. They are now paying close to $10,000 per month for water, but yet the renters are doing nothing different now and are not using any more water than they did in the past. The city has also charged SIST for water and sewer that was not even turned on in some of the vacant buildings. The water was actually shut off at the curb and had been ever since the road work in the summer of 2007. Why is it that none of these so-called news reporters have ever approached SIST to find out what is really going on with these outrageous extortion scandals? Why have they never reported that the real reasons for the vacant buildings owned by SIST? After all, how is a company supposed to be able to pay their taxes when all their money is going into outrageous utility bills? Why is it that these news stations have never reported on the number of instances when SIST has approached the city with plans for these buildings, and every single time this deceitful cult leader has doomed their plans to failure by manipulating all of the branches of the city government to condemn their plans in one way or another? When you step out of the circle and look at the big picture of what is really going on in this community, it becomes very clear that this deranged cult leader, Lorna Marquardt, thinks she has her own country within the United States that has a very mysterious boundary and an elusive constitution. This special constitution specifically targets SIST, SIST businesses, and SIST-affiliated personnel. How far her terrorist organization arms truly reach is eluding most of our imaginations right now and leaving many people fearfully speculating. As I stated before, she's in the process of suing Cal Grunwald for slander, for publishing some astonishing photographs of her in strange clothing and speaking out about her atrocious actions. Thousands of people have published pictures and videos of George Bush as a monkey, chimpanzee, and many other interesting analogies, and many have very openly and loudly spoken out about his actions in office. Even George Bush doesn't file a slander lawsuit against anybody for this. According to lawsuit documents obtained in Wausau, where the lawsuit is currently being carried out, she even filed a restraining order against Cal without any evidence of violent intent, and an injunction against him ordering him to stop speaking out about the many horrific atrocities she has perpetrated against this innocent organization.
Primary doesn't use half-breed beat.